Good evening and a very warm welcome. Dear friends and colleagues, members of the Presidium, dear speakers, dear guests, dear participants, this is my outstanding pleasure to open the first session of our International School of Neurology, the branch which is called International School of Neurology. It's something already a tradition of our combined and consolidated projects of our societies. And this year we decided to have a special format to offer you a special session with very important questions to be addressed, with a lot of answers, and of course, at the end of the day, with many comments, I hope. So, as the opening, official opening, I won't say ceremony, official opening moment will be tomorrow morning, we are going to enjoy a more dedicated basic research session, but as well an intermingled topic, as I wrote. So it's my great pleasure, therefore, to realize that many of you are already here, and we have many things to talk together. We have to discuss some administrative aspects, and everything will be settled, but we'll do this tomorrow morning. But we'll keep a very pure scientific pleasure for this evening, and I have the pleasure to have here two very prominent personalities in, I would say, world science today, particularly in cell biology and neuroscience, so we will fully enjoy this special session this afternoon. I think some of you know very well our president of the Academy of Sciences in Romania, Professor Popescu, and our beloved partner, Professor Sharma, Chairman of the Neuroscience Department at Uppsala University, and President of the Global College for Neuroprotection and Neuroregeneration. So with these thoughts in our mind, I would simply like to be entertained by them in this evening.
Good evening. Dear colleagues, it is really a pleasure for me to try to introduce Professor Sharma from the University of Uppsala. You should not be confused because a little white hair Professor Sharma has is a big boss in neurosciences in the oldest university in the northern part of Europe, Uppsala University. And in order to clarify this, I would like to remember you that he names to establish names, classifications of plants, animals, but also also. In conclusion, so young, so worth. On the other hand, I cannot abstain to recognize that Professor Sharma has a long scientific career record blood-brain barrier?
I suppose that Professor Sharma is loving very much
Is what? Is charming. However, I'm not sure how much or what is the difference concerning the love of his lab and our blood-brain barrier. Professor Sharma, please take your try.
So it is working here. Well, thank you very much for this honor, and whatever our president said, I do not deserve. And actually, we are 30 minutes delayed, but I will try to be in time. Thank you very much for this invitation. It's an honor for me to be here. Well, I will speak about basic science and also about nanotechnology. How many of you are familiar with nanotechnology? Raise your hands. None of you? Okay. Since this is not a scientific talk, it is for teaching, so it is a bit different. It's directed to you. I have so many great scientists sitting here, so I'm maybe nervous, but anyway. So, do you believe that the future lies to nanotechnology and nanomedicine? Just your belief? How many of you believe that? Okay, great. So, in last 10 years or so, I mean, we know about nanotechnology, but the last 5 years, nanomedicine is supposed to be very advanced. And what is nanomedicine? I mean, since you do not have so much idea about that, I can tell you that we are talking about medicine, then we are talking about combination of drugs, because I suppose you are all from students for medical science, isn't it? And you are clinicians, neurologists. So you have to treat your patient with probably different cocktails of drugs or different kinds of drugs. But now the time has come that people are thinking to use nanotechnology. Okay? This is still in basic stage, but in some of the laboratories in the world, probably in the United States and also in Sweden, Germany, Netherlands, it's very much active, and even in Europe, we have this Nanomed European Commission. So, I will show you some of the examples that whether they are effective or not, and it is still in experimental situation. We are working with the European Office of Aerospace Research and Development, its head office in London. Then there is US Air Force Research Laboratory, because this nanotechnology is very much relevant to military, anywhere, European military or American military, any country military, because they are exposed to nanoparticles of different kinds. And of course, this is my university, and Dr. Moresan, who is the chief of this program, and we work together. So, what I'm going to tell, I mean, since you are a student of neurology anyway, all of you are aware about a barrier between blood and brain, isn't it? I guess so. So, this blood-brain barrier, this book was on the spinal cord, but you can see that also brain barriers. In the brain, we have to deal with cerebral circulation, and the brain requires nutrition, and it should reach through the blood. And therefore, there is a barrier. So, many drugs like tumors, they do not penetrate. The idea is to have more access of these drugs to the brain. And here comes nanotechnology, because under normal situations, the drugs are not reaching in the desired amount to the brain. So therefore, they are interfering with the treatments. And that's why we need to enhance this drug delivery, and nanotechnology could be only a part of it. This is a general theory. We believe that any kind of insults open the barrier found in the brain and the spinal cord, and then it produces consequences. Could be edema, ischemia, whatever you say, cellular changes, and all together can lead to cell death. So as a clinician or neurologist, your job is to rescue these nerve cells in the brain to treat the patient. And I think all of you must be aware that whenever we say brain, it is not only neurons. We have much more other cells. Can any one of you tell what other cells in the brain we have apart from neurons? Well, glial cells, have you heard about that? Astrocytes is one part of glial. Yeah, that's very good. And we should not forget that apart from microglia, we have also endothelial cells. This is also not neural, non-neural cells. So, what we talk about, this is damage of the blood vessels providing brain or spinal cord, the endothelial cells. And our research is largely how these endothelial cells are changing its permeability. It is also protecting the brain, and it is also hindering drug transfer. And this is just to show that human brain, different areas have different functions that you know very well. So, in situations of trauma or injury, it depends on which part the injury is occurring, and therefore it will affect the functional changes. However, when we consider any disease or any treatment, we must understand that no single factor could be responsible. It's millions of things are released after injury, and one cannot take into account by giving one drug or a combination. There are many kinds to express brain injury. Could be trauma, ischemia, hypoxia, depending on different kinds of insults. But probably something is very common, like release of neurochemicals, neurotransmitters, and you might be knowing that in brain we have several neurotransmitters, isn't it? Yeah. They act on the microvessels, open the barrier, enter into the brain, and produce its own effect, leading to both. It is also for repair process and also for injury process. So we have to see the balance that is more important. So we believe that when we try to develop neuroprotective strategies, not only we have to see the original time of injury, because the brain injury varies at different times, so it's very complex. The problem lies in studying in the laboratory. It is very, very difficult to create any model of brain injury or spinal cord, because stroke, you know very well, it has different origin. Motor vehicle accident can produce trauma to the head or spinal cord. Many factors together. But in laboratory, what we use one single factor, and more importantly, in laboratory we anesthetize the animals. After that, we make injury or whatsoever. It is not possible in normal circumstances. So we cannot compare clinical or experimental situations. Of course, here we have Peter Walsh, he is expert of traumatic brain injury. It can be of various kinds, and I will just list something. It could be traumatic, hemorrhagic, vascular, metabolic, and even infection can lead almost similar process, mimicking injury. Now, together with Professor Moresano, we are working that you think that if we are normal and we get an injury, the process or pathogenesis is one thing. But can you imagine if people are diseased, having hypertension, having other endocrine metabolism like diabetes that is quite common in human populations, and also other kinds of disease, genetic disease, if they get injured, I mean, no one can believe that the response will be same. So there are various factors process will be different, but its treatment will also be different. And these things we are highlighting together with Professor Muresano and other persons in the United States. So, for example, the cost could be very different. I have just shown you this picture. Possible cause of brain injury, firearms, falls, vehicle accidents. So, every injury or every disease is individual. We cannot generalize. That is very important. And the history of injury is so old, as you can see here, that in 1848 this cartoon was created. So people are aware about brain injury, head injury. I do not have time to tell you the differences between these two. So this is very old known phenomenon. And this, as a clinician and our experts are here, they know much more better. But it depends which part of brain we injure. This is the normal situation. If the cortical layer is damaged, then we have this very delicate stage. If the damage occurs severely with the brain stain, it leads to death instantly. So these are really serious signs. We come into contact with US Air Force research in 2004, and then the point is that military are everywhere in the Middle East. It's so much sand particles. They are dealing every day with gunfire. They are dealing with missile explosion and so many things. So people, soldiers, they are breathing different kinds of nanoparticles. The point is that whether the injury process could be worse, or whether same kind of drugs can prevent their pathogenesis. So we did this book in 2009. Basically, I am a pathologist, neuropathologist, experimental pathologist, and my mentor is Professor Wilson. He used to be the president of International Society of Neuropathology. It's a very prestigious organization. And there are certain types of experiments that we are doing here. I will show you briefly some nanotechnology and also brain imaging. I will talk briefly about Parkinson's disease. I am not an expert on Parkinson's disease. But I will tell you, the latest technology can be applied to any kinds of disease, either it is neurodegenerative or experimental. So, I can tell that, took the example of Parkinson's disease, the blood-brain barrier functions are altered, glial reactions are altered. And do you know that deep brain stimulation is one of the methods to treat somehow Parkinson's disease? Are you familiar with that? This was discovered long ago, and Arkansas State has lots of historical connection with this kind of development. And recent studies show that also glial cells and so many things are involved. Now, why nanomedicine or nanotechnology I am talking about? Because some people are expert in deep brain stimulation. It is very old technology, but we have some trials. For example, if the electrodes are placed in certain areas, after some time the glial cells encapsulate them, and then the stimulation is not that effective. Here can be modified or improved. That comes nanotechnology. Because theoretically it is suggested that we can improve our delivery method, we can improve our stimulation method, and we can reduce cell damage. So that's why nanotechnology is also used in Parkinson's disease, and University of Arkansas has a great role in this. So these are some of the papers in 2010 that nanotechnology is important in Parkinson's disease. Nanoelectrodes. Then the question comes, we are using conventional electrodes. It could be in some millimeter in diameter. That is too big for them, isn't it? Because you might be knowing that average human brain weighs about 1500 grams about, and over several billion, could be 10 billion neurons. So if you damage with millimeter size, then so many neurons are damaged anyway. So, and Israel that develops nanoelectrodes. If it is a conventional and normal electrode, you stimulate it then some coating will occur around the electrode, then its electricity and all other things will not be that effective. But you can see this nano electrode developed, and you can see that it is quite good. After a long time, the stimulation strength is very good. Then, together with NASA, this is the United States organization, you might have heard about it. They are taking plane to the space and so many other things. But they are also doing human situations. So, nanoknife, because in neurosurgery we are talking about take out the tumor, but it is also possible by nanoknife. You can take only axons, you can take one dendrite, for example. So these are nanoknives, and this is not so old, it's 2008. NASA wants to slice your brain with nanoknife. This was the news. And here is nanoknife. You can see, you can cut specific things, one dendrite, one axon, very precisely. Now this is possible. It's not a fiction anymore. The other use of nanotechnology, I mean, everybody is aware about stroke treatment, but you can see this is non-invasive method. This Newark University and Massachusetts Institute of Technology, they have developed. So this is the electrode they are pushing into the artery, and they can use it for stimulation and treatment. So these are new things coming in this area using nanotechnology. And regarding stimulation, you can really implant chip in the brain with multiple electrodes here. They look like this, and you can stimulate one or two or three or many at one time. So this is the real use of nanotechnology, and it is operating. It's no more fixed. This one nanoelectrode looks like this. This is work from Dr. Russell Andrews, and you can see that here. This is an example. These are several nanoelectrodes. You can stimulate a part of you. Forget about the whole brain or different neurons. So these are the use of nanotechnology besides. And this is carbon nanotube that can be used either for stimulation, implementation, and also drug delivery. This is a combination of nanotube and nanowire. People are using to very precisely stimulate the brain or different areas or even lesion certain areas. So these are realities now. One example, this is a multiple picture of different types of nanoelectrodes. The question comes always about biocompatibility. How our brain or other organs can take these nanoelectrodes. You see, these are gallium phosphide nanowires. They are said to be quite innocuous, and they can be used even in human brain. This was in 2004. And this is an example. This one neuron here. This is cell body, axon, dendrites, and these are different nanoelectrodes can be stimulated. And this is the Hallstrom from Sweden, gallium phosphide nanowire in 2007. Nanolators. They have shown that it can be stimulated, and also they can be even grown. It is interesting to you? Yeah, these are new technology, and I think you're all young brains, so I mean, probably some of you could do even better. Now, why we should use this nanotechnology or nanoelectrodes? The reason is whenever you put anything into the brain, there is an injury, isn't it? And then the glial cells will come to rescue, then scar formation, and then so many things. So this is an example they have done after 1 week of nanoelectrode transplantation. You see the microglia, you cannot see here, but they are green, GFAP is red, and other cells in blue. You can see that the cell injury is very minimal, if not absent. This is an example. No nanowire toxicity seen as evaluated by histopathological technique. And this is an example. You can see nanowire relation in this part, neither immune reaction is clear nor any cell pathology, even up to 12 weeks. So they are much more precise, much more well functioning. Now here I will show you what is the relevance with our work. It is very difficult to find a good animal model of Parkinson disease or any neural disease. And here are the models you can confirm that the animal is having some symptoms very similar to Parkinson's disease. Astrocytes are also involved in this. I'm not going into detail. Real functions are altered. And neurotrophic factors. We have changed glia, we have changed neurons. So glial neurotrophic factor can help Parkinson's disease. And some studies have shown that nanodrug delivery can do some better in Parkinson's disease. Briefly, I should mention there are different ways of making nanodrug delivery. These are soft nanoparticles labeled with drug, and if they are given, they release the drug, and it can last for a long time. Carbon nanotube can also be used. Here the drug can be filled and given. Why nanodrug delivery? The idea is that if you combine the drug or deliver through nanotechnology, it can be for longer time in the nervous system. It can be very widely distributed in the nervous system. And probably its degradation is also less. So you get more effective concentration and effect of the drug that you are delivering through nanotechnology. This is Dr. Put on the arm. He is supposed to be the father of nanowires because he is working in physics, but he developed the technology for nanowires. They are very thin, 10 to 20 nanometers, and there is mesh. They could be used as like paper. The drugs can be loaded and delivered. Recent studies suggest that even stem cell therapy, you might have heard about that. Do you know that stem cells are used for treatment of various diseases? Are you aware? Yeah. So people are now trying to combine stem cells to nanodrug delivery because they can survive for longer time, they are healthy for longer time, and repetition of stem cell transplantation will be less because it's very expensive. So there are also some experiments in Parkinson's disease. People are using stem cell therapy, nanodrug delivery, and if, for example, silica nanowires, if the stem cells are grown on these nanowires, they can function much better and for longer time. I'm just showing that, and they are still live for longer time. Let's start. So these are mouse intelligent cells, silica nanowires. The other thing you can label is quantum dots. They are very tiny nanoparticles. If you reduce its size, after that it becomes light emitting, and that is called quantum dots. Here, you can load with this drug, they penetrate the cell membrane without damaging and release it. So, without damaging the cell membrane, you have high concentration of drug inside. And the most important part is that if nanowires are penetrated into the cell membrane is not damaged because it functions just like another kind of cell membrane and have its intact receptors. It's not so complicated, I guess. You can understand what I am telling. And these are some examples. That is examples that a stem cell can grow on these nanowires. You can see with time. And these are electrical measurements that they are really functional. So it's not fixed. The other way of use nanowires to kill particular cells or tumor cells. This is an example. It's not my work. I'm just showing you. So titanium plus nanofilaments can be implanted in cell culture, and only the tumor cells are killed. This is another example. You see the cells are killed particularly with titanium dioxide nanowires. Okay. Now, in the last 10 or 15 minutes, I will tell you some of our own experiments. And we look about cerebrolysis because, as I told you, that in central nervous system we have neurons, we have glial cells, we have endothelial cells, so many things. So this is the drug that is a balanced mixture of so many things. It has different kinds of neurotrophic factors, active peptide fragments, and so we just try to study what is happening normally and we give using nanotechnology. And previously the drug is working, we have some couple of papers, and we found that this is something that we can go on. Titanium nanowires we have used, and this is 10 to 20 nanometers. And of course nowadays there is so much political interest in nanotechnology. So living in Sweden, we have also, since it is so expensive that we need support from the government, otherwise you can't do it. This is Göran Persson, former Prime Minister of Sweden, helping us. And this is Dr. Nanowires, leveling the drugs. And this is the Nobel Laureate of Chemistry in 2004. We discussed these things that are we heading right or wrong direction, and he feels that this has the future. And Dr. Kepper is here. We have just concluded a volume on his journal, CNS Neurological Disorders, in hot topics. And you can see that Nobel Laureate and Shari written very good comments, and also the other Nobel Laureate and so many things. The point to tell you that we are not doing fiction, but it's real science, and some people really support it. Because you have to always check that whether you are doing right or wrong. Anyway, coming to this, we have a model of MPTP, and we produce Parkinson-like symptoms. Now here you can see that this is the PS positive cell, normal situation. After giving MPTP, it's completely gone. Cerebrolysin alone, you can see the two lesions increased here. And nanowire, it is much more better than the alone. Since I have less time, I will not describe these experiments in detail. The same thing also happened with dopamine measurement after glucosamine is decreased, and nanowire cerebrolysin is giving us much more better than before. The same parameters we have measured. I mean, you can see that nanowire cerebrolysin is always different. Also here the other parameter I showed you. And you see that this is astrocytes, normal neurons, this is control, this is MPTP, and you can see here nanowire cerebrolysin. They are trying to do much better than cerebrolysin alone. So the message is that I have less time to discuss why, but I will give you some examples after concluding this talk. I will not discuss on this that how diabetes or other things can alter these things. Now I will show you some examples in head injury. And we have two models of head injury. One is, this is closed head injury, when this weight is given over the skull, no fractures, and this is opening of the skull and making an incision. In closed head injury model, you can see that there are lots of cell changes and can be prevented. These papers are already published. This is an example of open brain injury here. The knife lesion. After treatment, the lesion is much better, and the cell loss is very weak. And these are just to show you electron microscopy that we are working. Leakage of barrier here you can see much more in head injury, and treatment is nothing better. This is not required. But here, this is the leakage and cerebrolysin here. You can see this RD leakage is reduced, edema is reduced, blood flow is increased, and nanowire cerebrolysin is even doing much better than this. And the same thing is happening also in open brain injury. Cerebrolysin alone compared to this one, but nanowire cerebrolysin is even better. Then I will show you some example very briefly. 3 minutes in spinal cord injury if you are doing right. And this was a thesis done in our university by a student, nanocerebrolysin. She used nano leveling and without nano leveling. The point is here that this is albumin leakage, and these are much more severe than these two. The reason is that they are intoxicated with silver and copper nanoparticles before making injury. So the idea is that the person is intoxicated with different kind of nanoparticles, and if injury occurs, then there is more damage. I will be finishing within 5 minutes. The same thing with here, GFAP, it is much more expression, They are much more damaged here and here when they were given nanoparticles before injury. So the message is that nanoparticles exacerbate injury process. And in this situation, if you give the same amount of drug, it is not going to happen. We have to modify, either increase the dose or give them with nanotechnology. It is also in the same way. Now we can compare something here. This is silver and GFLE. You can see as compared to no silver, high expressed here, and cerebrolysin. But look, nanowired cerebrolysin given in this case is much more better than the cerebrolysin. So the point is that even the same amount of drug is given by nanotechnology, we have used titanium nanowire, it is better. And of course we have some support from University of Arkansas. They have a history of this. This is the former governor of Arkansas, and this is the present sitting governor of Arkansas. And I will skip these things about blood-brain changes, and also this cerebrolysin given can influence the functional parameters. I will skip those things. You can see it also reduces CPOS expression, CU expression, and its edema formation here. After injury is much more, but after cerebrolysin is less. I will skip this. This is important. Here you can see that this is untreated, mild, and here treated with other drug. But look, that nanowired cerebrolysin is much better than this. Is there anything? I can only mention one thing here, that why it is working better. The idea is that it is penetrating faster, it is staying there, and its catabolism or destruction of the drug is much less. And probably it also prevents stress reaction. That is shown here because the speech of protein is not that much here as compared to the amplifier. And also this Chinese military is also very much interested, and we are working in cooperation on peripheral nerve injury. And this is Dr. Fung, and this is the director of the hospital. We have a Swedish connection because one of the ladies, the president of this hospital, had a Swedish PhD. So we have a very good job, and it's a lot of support from our research. There are different organizations. And I stop here, and I hope that something new, I told you